Commander John Russell stood at the viewport of the scout vessel Pathfinder. The stars looked cold and distant from the edge of human space. He sipped his coffee and watched as Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, grew larger on the screen. "Commander, we're picking up that distress signal again," said Lieutenant Kate Davis. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel. John nodded. "Any details this time?" "Just fragments. Something about an attack on the research station. The Pathfinder had been on a routine patrol when they received the emergency beacon from Europa base. The scientific outpost had gone silent 12 hours ago. In 2157, humanity kept to itself. After making contact with alien civilizations 50 years earlier, Earth had chosen a path of non-interference in galactic affairs. Humans built their colonies in the solar system and maintained minimal diplomatic relations with the Galactic Confederation. Other species called humans the quiet species. Most aliens believed humans lacked the technology or will for significant space combat. The Earth Union Council preferred it that way. John turned to Olivia Miller, the diplomatic officer assigned to his ship. "What do you think? Could this be Corvin activity?" Olivia frowned. Her job was preventing conflicts, not responding to them. "The Corvins have been pushing boundaries lately. They believe our silence means weakness." The Corvin Empire had expanded aggressively for the past decade. Their ships appeared more frequently near human outposts, always claiming to be lost or conducting scientific research. "Coming into orbit around Europa now, sir," announced the pilot, Ryan Cooper. "Scan for life signs and prepare a landing team," John ordered. "Full environmental suits. We don't know what happened down there." The scans showed only 3 faint life signatures in the main research dome. The base should have had 24 scientists and support staff. 30 minutes later, John led a team of 6 onto the surface of Europa. The ice crunched beneath their boots as they approached the domed structure half buried in the moon's frozen crust. The main airlock had been damaged. Something had burned through the outer door. "This wasn't an accident," said Security Chief Alan West, examining the melted metal. "These are weapon marks." Inside, the base was dark. Emergency lights cast red shadows across empty corridors. The team moved carefully, weapons ready. They found the first bodies in the main lab. 5 researchers, their lab coats stained with blood. Whatever killed them had done it quickly. "Commander, I'm picking up survivors in the lower level," Alan said, checking his scanner. 3 of them, in the secure storage area. The secure storage door was sealed shut. John pressed the intercom button. "This is Commander John Russell of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. We're here to help." A woman's voice answered, shaky and uncertain. "Can you prove you're human?" John exchanged glances with his team. "We're opening a video link." After a moment, the storage door unlocked. 3 people huddled inside, surrounded by equipment and data drives. One woman stepped forward, her face pale and streaked with dried tears. "Dr. Samantha Ford," she said. "Thank God you came." "What happened here?" John asked. Dr. Ford looked at her colleagues, then back at John. "We found something in the ice, something that wasn't supposed to be found." She pointed to a container in the corner, an artifact at least 200 years old, human-made. Olivia moved closer. "Human-made? That's impossible. We didn't have technology to reach Europa back then." "It's some kind of data storage," Dr. Ford explained. "We managed to decode part of it before they came." "Before who came?" John asked. "We're not sure. They weren't Corvin. Their ship appeared suddenly, and they attacked without warning or demands." Dr. Ford's voice dropped to a whisper. "But that's not the worst part. The artifact contains information about something called the Sentinel Protocol. And whatever we activated when we opened it, it sent a signal. Somewhere out there, something woke up." John's communicator beeped. "Commander," came the urgent voice of Kay from the Pathfinder. "We're detecting multiple ships entering the Jupiter system. They're not responding to hails." Dr. Ford gripped John's arm. You need to get this artifact to Earth immediately, before it's too late. The Pathfinder raced through space, pushing its engines beyond safe limits. Behind them, 3 unknown ships followed in pursuit. They had managed to escape the Jupiter system, but only barely. In the ship's secure lab, Dr. Ford carefully opened the container holding the artifact. It was a simple metal cube with no visible buttons or screens. "How do you activate it?" John asked, watching her work. "It responds to human DNA." Dr. Ford placed her palm on the top surface. The cube hummed and projected a holographic display. Olivia leaned closer. "What is it showing?" "Records. Military plans from before first contact." Dr. Ford scrolled through floating images of ships and weapons. The Sentinel Protocol was created over 100 years ago as a last resort defense system. Files appeared showing underground facilities built throughout the solar system, automated factories hidden in asteroids, weapon systems disguised as scientific equipment. "I don't understand," said John. "Why would our ancestors build all this in secret?" "They were afraid," Dr. Ford explained. "The early space explorers feared what they might find among the stars, so they prepared for the worst while hoping for the best." Olivia studied the files. "So all this time, while we presented ourselves as peaceful and non-threatening." "We had teeth," Dr. Ford finished. "Very sharp ones, hidden away just in case." The ship's alarm sounded. Lieutenant Kate's voice came over the speaker. "Commander, we're receiving an emergency transmission from Neptune Station. They're under attack." Everyone rushed to the bridge. On the main screen, a grim-faced officer appeared among flashes of emergency lights. "This is Neptune Defense Station. We are under attack by Corvan warships. They came without warning. We have multiple casualties and..." The transmission cut to static. "Can you get them back?" John asked. Kate shook her head. "Signal's gone, sir." "How long until we reach Earth?" 6 hours at current speed." John turned to Olivia. "Contact Earth Union Command. Tell them everything we found and what's happening at Neptune." Olivia nodded and moved to the communication station. Dr. Ford looked pale. "The Corvans must have detected the signal from the artifact, too. They're making their move before we can activate our defenses." Hours later, the Pathfinder approached Earth orbit. The blue planet looked peaceful from space, but the situation in the system was anything but calm. The ship was immediately directed to the underground military facility beneath the Olympus Mons on Mars. As they docked, Admiral William Hayes was waiting for them. "Commander Russell," he said, his face grave. "The Neptune station is gone. 342 people dead." John handed over the artifact. "Sir, you need to see this." In a secure conference room, Dr. Ford explained everything they had discovered. Admiral Hayes listened without interruption. When she finished, he sighed deeply. "I was briefed on parts of the Sentinel Protocol when I took command, but I never thought we would need to use it." "Sir," John asked, "what exactly is this protocol?" Admiral Hayes activated a wall screen showing a map of the solar system. "After our first encounters with alien species, humanity faced a choice. We could announce ourselves as a military power and risk starting conflicts, or we could appear peaceful while preparing in secret. We chose peace," Olivia said. "We chose silence," the Admiral corrected. "There's a difference. Our leaders decided to show restraint, to hold back our true capabilities. The Sentinel Protocol is what we held in reserve." He pressed a button, and hundreds of red dots appeared throughout the solar system. Hidden weapons platforms, stealth ships, manufacturing facilities that can be activated within hours. "And no one knows about this?" John asked. "Only a handful of people in each generation. We hoped it would never be needed." An officer entered the room. "Admiral, we've received a message from the Corvan Empire. They're claiming the attack on Neptune was justified. They say they detected weapons being activated." "They're lying," Dr. Ford said. "The artifact sent a signal, but it didn't activate anything." Admiral Hayes stood up straight. It's about to. He looked at each of them in turn. The Emergency Council has voted. After 50 years of silence, humanity will finally speak. He pressed his palm against a scanner. And our first words will be very, very loud. The next morning, John and Olivia were taken deeper into the Mars facility. They traveled down a smooth metal elevator that seemed to drop forever. How far down are we going? Olivia asked. The archives are 3 miles beneath the surface, replied their guide, a stern woman who had introduced herself only as Agent Clark, safe from orbital scans and bombardment. When the doors opened, they entered a vast chamber carved from the red Martian rock. The walls were lined with servers and data storage systems. In the center stood a man with white hair and a straight back, despite his obvious age. Commander Russell, Officer Miller, the man said, extending his hand. I'm General Christopher Allen. Retired, technically, but they called me back when your discovery activated the alert system. You know about the Sentinel Protocol? John asked. Know about it. General Allen smiled faintly. I helped design it. 58 years ago, when we first made contact with the Confederation. He led them to a circular table that lit up as they approached. The Sentinel Protocol was our insurance policy. When we realized we weren't alone in the galaxy, we had to prepare for the worst. But why keep it secret from our own people? Olivia asked. Because humans talk, the general said simply. And if we talked about our true military capacity, other species might feel threatened. We chose a different path. He waved his hand over the table. A holographic display showed Earth ships making peaceful contact with alien vessels, trade agreements, scientific exchanges. We presented ourselves as advanced but non-aggressive, a curious species more interested in knowledge than conquest. While building secret weapons, John noted. While maintaining our ability to defend ourselves, General Allen corrected. The Corvan Empire has been testing our boundaries for years. They mistake restraint for weakness. The display changed to show surveillance footage of Corvan ships near human outposts. Each time, the human vessels simply moved away, avoiding confrontation. We have technologies the Confederation has never seen, General Allen continued. Weapon systems that could have made us the dominant force in this part of the galaxy. Instead, we chose silence. Until now, Olivia said quietly. Until now, the general agreed. Their meeting was interrupted by Admiral Hayes, who rushed in with a tablet in his hand. The Corvans have attacked again, a mining colony on Titan. 300 civilians, mostly families. John felt his hands curl into fists. Casualties. Total loss, Hayes said grimly. No survivors. The room fell silent. Then General Allen spoke, his voice cold and precise. Show them the real archives. Admiral Hayes hesitated, then nodded. He pressed his palm against a hidden panel in the wall. A section of the floor slid open, revealing another elevator. This facility is just the public face, Hayes explained as they descended further. The records we keep for our own government officials who need limited clearance. The elevator stopped, and they stepped out into an even larger chamber. This one hummed with power. Advanced display systems lined the walls, showing real-time data from throughout the solar system and beyond. Welcome to the true heart of the Sentinel Protocol, General Allen said. John stared at the displays in shock. One showed hundreds of small objects hidden in the asteroid belt, now glowing with active power signatures. Another displayed what looked like massive cannons built into the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, disguised as research equipment. All this time, Olivia whispered. We weren't just hiding, General Allen said. We were watching, learning, and building. Admiral Hayes stepped up to a central control station. The Earth Union Council has voted unanimously. We're initiating Phase 1. What's Phase 1? John asked. General Allen's eyes were hard as stone. Warning shots. On the main screen, they watched as hidden weapon platforms throughout the solar system powered up. Defense systems that had lain dormant for decades came to life. "We chose silence not from fear," General Allen said quietly, "but because we knew what our voices could unleash." Admiral Hayes looked at John. "Commander Russell, you've seen the Corvins in action. You've witnessed their attacks. Now I need you to deliver our response." The Pathfinder had been upgraded overnight. John barely recognized his own ship when he returned to the docking bay. Its hull now featured sleek weapon ports that hadn't been there before. The engines glowed with a strange blue light. "What did they do to my ship?" he asked the technician beside him. "Remove the disguise." The woman answered simply. This is what the Pathfinder always was, underneath. His crew looked just as surprised as they boarded. Lieutenant Kate ran her hand along a new control panel. "Sir, these systems weren't in any training manual I've ever seen." "We all have a lot to learn," John said. "Admiral Hayes is sending a full technical briefing to your stations now." Their mission was clear. Take the upgraded Pathfinder to the edge of Saturn's rings, where 3 Corvin warships were gathering for another attack. Deliver humanity's warning. As they prepared to launch, Olivia joined them on the bridge. "I'm coming with you," she said. "If there's any chance for words instead of weapons, I need to be there." John nodded. "Take the communication station." The Pathfinder left Mars orbit moving faster than should have been possible. The new engines pushed them through space at speeds that made the stars blur. What would have been a journey of days now took hours. Approaching Saturn, Ryan announced from the pilot's seat. "Corvin warships detected on the far side of the rings." "Active weapons?" John asked. "Yes, sir. They're charging main guns. Looks like they're preparing to attack the research station on Enceladus." John took a deep breath. "Send the message, Olivia." She activated the communication system. "Corvin vessels, this is Earth Union Diplomatic Corps. Your unprovoked attacks on Neptune and Titan have been classified as acts of war. You are ordered to power down weapons and withdraw from human space immediately." For several long moments, there was no response. Then a harsh voice answered, speaking broken English. "Humans talk big now. Too late. Corvins take what Corvins want. Weak species should be quiet." John looked at Olivia. She nodded grimly. "Weapons online," John ordered. "Target their engines only." Alan's fingers flew across his console. "Targeting systems locked, sir." "Lieutenant Kate, activate the new defense screen." "Everyone hold on. We've never done this before." John pressed the command key. From the underside of the Pathfinder, 3 small devices launched toward the Corvin ships. They moved too fast to track with the naked eye. On the screen, they watched as the devices attached to the Corvin warships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every system on all 3 enemy ships went dark. Their lights flickered and died. Their engines stopped glowing. "What did we just do?" Kate asked, staring at the readings. "EMP technology," John explained, "but far more advanced than anything the Confederation has. It targets only non-human systems." The Corvin ships drifted helplessly in space. Their life support systems still worked, but nothing else. "Send the second message," John told Olivia. She nodded. "Corvin vessels, your ships have been disabled, but your crews remain unharmed. This is a demonstration of human military capability. We have shown restraint. Next time, we will not." The main screen flickered, and the face of a Corvin appeared. The alien had gray-scaled skin and 4 eyes that blinked rapidly. "This trick proves nothing," the Corvin commander snarled. "The Empire has thousands of ships. You disabled 3. Our Emperor will send hundreds more." John leaned forward. "Tell your Emperor that humanity has been silent by choice, not by necessity. We have weapons that could destroy your entire fleet without leaving our orbit. Today we chose mercy. Do not make us choose otherwise." As they turned the Pathfinder back toward Mars, an urgent message came from Earth. The Galactic Confederation was calling an emergency session. News of humanity's show of force had spread quickly. Olivia looked worried. The other species are afraid. They've always thought of us as harmless. They thought wrong, John said. The ship's sensors suddenly blared a warning. A massive energy signature had appeared near Earth. Admiral Hayes was calling all ships back to defend the home planet. The Corvins are coming, Kate said. A lot more than 3 ships this time. John set his jaw. Then it's time to show them what else we've been hiding. The Pathfinder raced back to Earth at top speed, but John worried they wouldn't arrive in time. Reports showed 50 Corvin warships approaching the planet. This was no raid, it was an invasion force. We need to hurry, he told Ryan. Push the engines beyond safety limits if you have to. Meanwhile, Dr. Ford worked in the ship's lab with the artifact they had found on Europa. She hadn't slept in 2 days. Any progress? Olivia asked, bringing her a cup of coffee. Dr. Ford rubbed her tired eyes. The artifact contains activation codes for defense systems throughout the solar system. Some I recognize from the archives, but others, she pointed to a list of strange coordinates. These point to locations in the asteroid belt. There's something hidden out there that even General Allen might not know about. Olivia frowned. How is that possible? The Sentinel Protocol has been maintained in secret for generations. Each group of Guardians added their own layers of protection. Dr. Ford looked up. I need to transmit these codes to Admiral Hayes immediately. Back on the bridge, John received a transmission from Earth. The planet had already begun its defense. Hidden platforms in orbit had revealed themselves, creating a shield of energy around the planet. Admiral Hayes appeared on screen. Commander, we're activating Phase 2. All civilian ships are retreating to protected zones behind Mars and Venus. Military vessels are assuming defensive positions. What about the Confederation? John asked. Are they offering any help? Hayes shook his head. The opposite. The Confederation Ambassador Exertal is demanding we power down our illegal weapons systems immediately. They're more afraid of us than they are of the Corvins. That's ridiculous, Olivia said. The Corvins attacked us first. Doesn't matter, Hayes replied. For 50 years, we've been the quiet species. Now they're seeing our teeth for the first time. The transmission was interrupted as Dr. Ford rushed onto the bridge. Admiral Hayes, I've identified additional defense systems in the asteroid belt. Sending activation codes now. Hayes looked surprised. I wasn't briefed on anything in the belt. Sir, John said, our ancestors were very thorough. Hayes nodded. I'll activate them immediately. Get back to Earth as fast as you can, Commander. We need every ship we have. As the Pathfinder approached Earth orbit, they could see the Corvin fleet arranged in attack formation. The Earth defense grid was fully visible now. A network of platforms and satellites that glowed with energy. It's beautiful, Kate whispered. Admiral Hayes contacted all human ships. The Earth Union Council has made its decision. We will protect our people. Initiate Sentinel Protocol, Phase 2. Throughout the solar system, hidden systems came to life. On Mars, massive cannons emerged from beneath the red soil. In orbit around Jupiter and Saturn, disguised research stations transformed into weapon platforms. And in the asteroid belt, something new awakened. Hundreds of small objects began to move, leaving their hiding places among the rocks. What are those? John asked, watching the objects on the screen. Dr. Ford smiled for the first time in days. Autonomous defense drones, thousands of them. The Corvin fleet began its advance toward Earth. Their lead ships fired the first shots, which dissipated harmlessly against the energy shield. On the main communication channel, the voice of the Corvin Emperor himself boomed. Humans, your tricks and toys do not frighten the Empire. Surrender now, and we may allow some of you to live as servants. Admiral Hayes responded from Earth Command. We chose peace for 50 years. We chose to be quiet and non-threatening. That choice has been taken from us. He gave the signal, and Earth's defense grid fired. Not random shots, but precise beams that targeted only the weapon systems of the Corvin ships. 20 enemy vessels suddenly found themselves unable to fire. In the asteroid belt, the swarm of drones accelerated, heading toward the battle. "They underestimated us," Olivia said quietly. "They thought our silence meant weakness." John nodded. "They're about to learn the difference between being peaceful and being helpless." The Pathfinder joined Earth's defense fleet as the full might of humanity's hidden arsenal was finally revealed. The ancient fury, kept dormant for so long, was now fully awake. The space around Earth turned into a battlefield unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Corvan fleet regrouped after the initial shock of Earth's defenses. They switched to smaller, faster attack ships that darted toward the planet. "They're trying to find gaps in our shield," Kate reported from her station. John nodded. "Standard Corvan tactics. They use numbers to overwhelm." But humanity's defenses had been designed by people who understood war all too well. The shield adjusted automatically, thickening where attacks concentrated. Admiral Hayes contacted the Pathfinder. "Commander, we need you to lead a strike team. The Corvans have managed to land forces on our Mars colony." "What about Earth?" John asked. "Earth is holding. The shield is working better than expected. But Mars needs help now." John turned to his crew. "Prepare for atmospheric entry. We're going to Mars." As the Pathfinder changed course, they could see the swarm of drones from the asteroid belt arriving at the battle. The tiny machines moved with perfect coordination, surrounding Corvan ships and disabling their systems one by one. "How are they so effective?" Olivia wondered, watching the drones work. Dr. Ford, who had joined them on the bridge, explained. "They were designed to learn and adapt. They've been observing alien technology for decades from hiding. They know exactly where to strike." The journey to Mars took minutes rather than days with their enhanced engines. As they entered the atmosphere, they could see fires burning across the surface. The main human settlement near Olympus Mons was under attack. "Multiple Corvan landing craft detected," Alan reported. "They'd breached the outer dome and entered the city." John set his jaw. "Land us at the emergency port. We'll enter through the underground tunnels." The Pathfinder touched down at a hidden entrance on the far side of the settlement. John led a team of 20 crew members equipped with combat gear that had been stored aboard the ship. "I didn't even know we had these," Kate said, examining her powered armor suit. The lightweight material moved with her body but could stop energy weapons. "Stay in communication range," John ordered as they entered the tunnels. "And remember, we protect civilians first." Inside the Mars colony, chaos reigned. Corvan soldiers had pushed through the main plaza and were advancing toward the command center. Civilians ran for shelter as security forces tried to hold the line. John's team emerged from the tunnels behind the Corvan forces. "Now," he ordered. Their weapons fired with surgical precision, targeting the Corvan combat suits rather than the aliens themselves. The invaders suddenly found their armor locked in place, unable to move. "What is this?" one Corvan commander shouted, struggling against his frozen suit. "Human technology," John answered simply. "We designed it specifically for your combat systems." The Mars Defense Forces, seeing the Corvans immobilized, quickly moved to secure them. Colonel Greg Hart, head of Mars Security, approached John. "How did you do that?" he asked, looking at the frozen Corvans. 50 years of watching and learning," John said. "We studied every piece of alien technology we could access." Above them, the battle in orbit continued. The Corvan fleet was in disarray, caught between Earth's defense grid and the swarm of drones. But more enemy ships were arriving. On the Pathfinder, Olivia received an urgent message from the Galactic Confederation. Ambassador Exertol requested an immediate meeting. "They're finally ready to talk," she told Dr. Ford. "They've seen what we can do." Dr. Ford looked skeptical. "Do they want to help us or stop us?" "Both, probably," Olivia admitted. "They're afraid of the Corvans, but they're more afraid of what humanity might do next." On Mars, John's team secured the colony's command center. The screens showed the ongoing space battle. The Corvin ships were retreating from Earth, but regrouping near Jupiter. "They're not giving up," Colonel Hart said. "They're planning something else." John received a transmission from Admiral Hayes. "Commander, our long-range sensors have detected a new energy signature entering the system. It's the Corvin flagship. The Emperor himself is coming." Why would he risk himself? John wondered. "Because he's bringing something with him," Hayes answered grimly. "Something big enough that he thinks it can overcome all our defenses at once." The Corvin flagship appeared at the edge of the solar system, a massive vessel 3 times larger than anything humans had seen before. It moved slowly but steadily toward Jupiter, where the remaining Corvin forces gathered around it like a protective shield. "What are they planning?" Admiral Hayes asked during an emergency council meeting. John, Olivia, and Dr. Ford attended via secure video link from Mars. General Allen studied the sensor readings. "The flagship is carrying some kind of energy weapon. It's similar to technology we've observed in Confederation research stations, but much more powerful." "Can our shields withstand it?" someone asked. The general's face was grim. "Unknown. We never planned for something of this magnitude." John leaned forward. "Sir, I have an idea. The Corvins don't know how much we know about their systems. What if we could get aboard that flagship before they use their weapon?" The room fell silent. Admiral Hayes narrowed his eyes. "You're suggesting an infiltration mission. It would be suicide." "Not necessarily," Dr. Ford interjected. "The artifact we found contains detailed schematics of Corvin ship designs. Their security protocols haven't changed much in 50 years. They never thought they needed to upgrade them." "Even so," Hayes argued, "how would you even get aboard undetected?" "The same way our ancestors hid their defenses," John said. "By making something look like it's something else." 2 hours later, the Pathfinder approached the Jupiter system, moving slowly and trailing debris. The ship's power flickered and emergency lights flashed. To all appearances, it was a damaged vessel limping away from the battle. Inside, the crew worked at battle stations. Their systems were fully operational, just disguised to appear damaged. "Corvin patrol approaching," Kate warned. "They're scanning us." "Continue broadcasting distress signals," John ordered. "Let them think we're crippled." The Corvin patrol ship moved closer, weapons ready but not firing. "They're hailing us," Olivia reported. John nodded. "Answer, but keep the video scrambled. Make it look like our systems are failing." Olivia opened the channel and spoke in a panicked voice. "This is Earth Vessel Pathfinder. We've taken heavy damage. Life support failing. Request immediate assistance." The Corvin voice that answered sounded amused. "Human ship, surrender and prepare to be boarded. The Emperor may show mercy if you have useful information." "Understood," Olivia replied, adding a cough for effect. "Opening docking port. Please hurry." The patrol ship moved alongside the Pathfinder and extended a docking tube. John nodded to his security team, who positioned themselves out of sight. "Remember," he said quietly, "we need their ship intact and their communication codes." When the Corvins boarded, they found a seemingly abandoned bridge with emergency lights only. As they moved deeper into the ship, John's team ambushed them with the same technology they had used on Mars. Within minutes, all 15 Corvin soldiers stood frozen in their armor suits. "Phase 1 complete," John reported to Earth Command. "We have their ship and their codes." Ellen quickly accessed the Corvin patrol ship's systems. "I can use these credentials to get us close to the flagship. They'll think we're returning from a scouting mission." As they approached the massive Corvin flagship using the captured patrol ship, they could see the enormous weapon mounted on its bow. Energy pulsed along its length as it charged. "That thing could destroy a planet," Dr. Ford whispered, studying the readings. The flagship's docking control hailed them. "Patrol Ship Delta, report findings." Ellen transmitted the stolen codes and a pre-recorded Corvin voice message reporting no threats detected. After tense moments, the docking control responded. Proceed to Bay 12 for debriefing. Their small ship landed in the massive docking bay among dozens of Corvin vessels. John's team, now wearing modified Corvin armor, disembarked. We have 30 minutes until they realize something's wrong, John said. Let's find that weapon control room. Using the schematics from the artifact, they navigated the enormous ship. Corvin crew members passed them without suspicion, thinking they were just another patrol team. The main control chamber should be 2 levels up. Dr. Ford guided them through their hidden earpieces. As they approached the central elevator, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. A voice boomed in the Corvin language. "They know we're here," Olivia translated. "They're saying intruders have been detected." John checked his weapon. "Then we stop being subtle. Run." John and his team raced through the corridors of the Corvin flagship. Guards appeared at every turn, but the human weapons cut through their defenses with shocking ease. "How much farther?" John asked as they ducked behind a corner to avoid enemy fire. "2 more sections," Alan replied, checking the map on his wrist device. "But they're sealing bulkheads to trap us." Kate pointed to a maintenance shaft. "Through there. These ships have service tunnels for repair drones." The team squeezed into the narrow passage. As they crawled forward, they could feel the massive ship vibrating around them. The weapon was nearly charged. "Admiral Hayes," John called through his communicator. "What's happening out there?" Hayes's voice came through with static. "The Corvin weapon is powering up. Our sensors show it could punch through even our strongest shields. You need to stop it now, Commander." They emerged from the tunnel directly into the weapon control chamber. Corvin technicians turned in surprise as armed humans appeared in their midst. John's team quickly secured the room. "Can you shut it down?" John asked Kate, who was already examining the control panels. She frowned. "The firing sequence has already started. We can't stop it completely." But her fingers flew across the alien controls. "I can redirect it." "Where?" "The only safe target is the sun," she said. "Its energy can absorb the blast." "Do it," John ordered. As Kate worked, the main door to the chamber burst open. A tall Corvin in ornate armor entered, flanked by elite guards. Even without an introduction, John knew this was the Emperor himself. "Humans," the Emperor said in perfect English. "You surprise me. No species has dared board my flagship in 300 years. "We're full of surprises," John replied, weapon raised. "Your attack on our people ends now." The Emperor laughed. "You think this is the extent of my fleet? I have thousands more ships waiting. This was merely a test of your defenses." "Target changed," Kate announced. "The weapon will fire at the sun in 20 seconds. The Emperor's 4 eyes widened. "Stop her," he ordered his guards. But it was too late. The massive ship shuddered as the weapon discharged, sending a blinding beam of energy toward the sun instead of Earth. The blast caused solar flares to erupt, washing the system in radiation that the human defense grid was specifically designed to withstand. The Emperor roared in anger, drawing an energy blade. "You have merely delayed the inevitable." Before he could attack, the flagship rocked violently. On the monitors, they could see hundreds of small objects surrounding the ship. The drone swarm had arrived. "Emperor," John said calmly, "look outside. Those drones are disabling every ship in your fleet. Your weapon is useless. Your invasion has failed." Back on Earth, Admiral Hayes addressed the Emergency Council. "The Corvin flagship has been neutralized. Their Emperor is requesting terms for withdrawal." General Allen smiled faintly. "And the Confederation? Ambassador Exertal is suddenly very interested in a mutual defense treaty with us," Hayes replied. 3 days later, John stood at the viewport of the Pathfinder, watching as the Corvin ships retreated from the solar system. Olivia joined him. "The Corvin Empire has agreed to recognize human space as sovereign territory," she said, "and 6 other species have requested alliance negotiations." "They're afraid of us now," John noted. "They respect us," Olivia corrected. "There's a difference. Dr. Ford entered the bridge, carrying the artifact that had started everything. The Council wants this secured in the archives. They're calling it the Silent Guardian now, a reminder of our policy going forward. And what is that policy? John asked. Admiral Hayes's voice came from the communication screen. The same as it always was, Commander. We prefer peace. We choose restraint when possible. But the galaxy now knows that humanity's silence was a choice, not a weakness. As the Pathfinder turned toward Mars, John thought about how quickly everything had changed. For 50 years, humanity had hidden its strength, hoping it would never be needed. Do you think we'll go back to being silent? Kate asked. No, John said, watching the stars. But perhaps we can teach the galaxy that true strength isn't about who has the loudest voice or the biggest weapons. Olivia nodded. It's about knowing when to use them and when to hold back. The ancient fury had been awakened, but humanity would ensure it served wisdom rather than vengeance. Their silence had been broken, but their principles remained intact. The bright morning sky over Washington, D.C. suddenly darkened as the massive alien ship entered Earth's atmosphere. People stopped and stared upward, mouths open in shock. Car horns blared as traffic halted. This was not a drill or a movie. Aliens had come to Earth. John Miller stood at attention on the White House lawn alongside other military officers. As a Navy lieutenant with 10 years of service, he had seen many things, but nothing like this. His heart pounded in his chest as the alien craft hovered silently above them. Steady, whispered Admiral Cole beside him. Remember your training. John almost laughed. There was no training for first contact with aliens. No one on Earth had prepared for this day. The President stepped forward with her advisors as a beam of blue light shot down from the ship. Within the light, a figure materialized. It stood 7 feet tall with grayish-blue skin and 4 arms. Its large eyes blinked slowly as it surveyed the humans before it. I am Grand Emissary Krell of the Xantari Collective, the alien said in perfect English. We come in peace to welcome Earth into the galactic community. The world watched through live broadcasts as humanity made its first official contact with alien life. The Xantari claimed to represent a federation of 7 advanced species who had been observing Earth for decades. Now they felt humans were ready to join them. 3 days later, John found himself assigned as military liaison to the aliens. He reported to a newly established contact center where he met Dr. Lisa Brown. Lisa was a linguist who specialized in communication systems. With dark curly hair and bright eyes that missed nothing, she had a reputation for learning languages faster than anyone else at the university. The government had immediately recruited her to work with the aliens. The Xantari language has 42 different sounds our vocal cords can't even make, Lisa told John as they walked toward the meeting room. But thankfully, they've adapted to speak our languages. John nodded. Convenient. Almost too convenient, don't you think? Lisa gave him a sharp look. You don't trust them. I don't trust anyone I just met, especially when they show up with technology centuries ahead of ours, John replied. Their conversation ended as they entered the conference room. Grand Emissary Krell sat with 3 other Xantari representatives. Their extra arms moved constantly, making small gestures that seemed part of their communication. Lieutenant Miller, Dr. Brown, Krell said, please join us. We have much to discuss about our cultural exchange program. Over the next few weeks, the Xantari shared medical advancements that cured 3 previously untreatable diseases. They provided clean energy technology that could power entire cities without pollution. World leaders welcomed them as saviors, and most people embraced the aliens with excitement and hope. The Xantari established bases in 12 countries, including a large compound in the Nevada desert. They claimed these were cultural centers meant to help humans understand their new galactic neighbors. John spent his days escorting Xantari officials to meetings and learning about their culture and technology. At night, he recorded detailed notes about everything he observed. Something about the aliens bothered him, though he couldn't put his finger on what it was. 2 months after first contact, John met Lisa for coffee near the Lincoln Memorial. "They're giving us everything we've ever wanted," Lisa said. "Advanced medicine, clean energy, faster transportation. Why do you still look worried?" John stared at the ripples in his coffee. When someone gives you everything without asking for anything in return, you have to wonder what they really want. Lisa frowned. "Maybe they're just nice." "Maybe," John agreed. "Or maybe they're setting us up for something. I just wish I knew what." As they spoke, another Xantari ship arrived in the atmosphere, larger than any before. The dawn of a new era for humanity continued, bright with promise but shadowed by uncertainty. 6 months passed since the Xantari arrived on Earth. Their bases expanded across all continents. The main compound in Nevada had grown to the size of a small city. John Miller drove his Jeep along the perimeter fence, noting the new structures that seemed to appear overnight. His official job was to escort alien visitors and maintain good relations, but John had started to gather information on his own. Today, he noticed 3 large dish-shaped objects being installed on the eastern side of the compound. They looked like communication devices, but much bigger than anything he had seen before. John took photos with a small camera hidden in his watch. Admiral Cole had given him this special equipment after John shared some of his concerns. "Keep your eyes open," the Admiral had told him, "but keep your thoughts to yourself for now." Later that day, John met Lisa Brown at a small diner outside Las Vegas. They chose a booth in the back where no one could overhear them. Lisa looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes. "I've been studying their language database," she said quietly. "There are words they never translate for us, and some of the translations they do provide don't match with their actual meanings." John leaned forward. "How do you know that?" "I created a program to analyze patterns in their speech. When they talk among themselves, they use certain words only when discussing Earth's resources or military bases." Lisa pushed a small data drive across the table. "I recorded everything." John took the drive and slipped it into his pocket. "I've noticed strange equipment at the Nevada base. They claim it's for cultural exchange, but it looks more like they're scanning the planet." "For what?" Lisa asked. "Resources, maybe. Military targets. I'm not sure yet." John sipped his coffee. "Have you noticed how they always answer our questions, but never really tell us anything important?" Lisa nodded slowly. "Last week, I asked about their home planet. Grand Emissary Krell talked for 20 minutes about their beautiful cities and culture, but never mentioned where it is, how far away, or any actual facts." The next morning, John drove to a secure military facility under the Rocky Mountains. Admiral Cole met him in a room with no windows and no electronic devices. "What did you find?" Cole asked. John placed Lisa's data drive and his own photos on the table. "The Xantari are mapping our planet. They're particularly interested in mineral deposits and military installations, and Dr. Brown has evidence they're not being honest in their translations." Admiral Cole studied the photos. "Our satellite images show similar equipment at their bases in Africa and Asia." He looked up at John. "The president still believes they're here to help us. Most people do. We need more proof before we can raise the alarm." "Sir, by then it might be too late," John argued. "Keep working with Dr. Brown. Document everything. I'll get you access to more secure areas." Cole gathered the materials. "And Lieutenant, be careful. We don't know what they're capable of." 2 days later, John entered the Nevada compound for a scheduled meeting. He walked past areas that were usually closed to humans. In one room, the door was slightly open. John glanced inside and froze. A large 3-dimensional map of Earth floated in the center. Red dots marked major cities and military bases. Blue areas highlighted regions rich in rare minerals. A Xantari voice spoke nearby. John quickly moved away from the door and continued walking. His heart beat faster as he realized what he had seen. This was no cultural exchange. The aliens were planning something, and Earth needed to know what it was. That night, John called Lisa. We need to meet. I found something. He kept his words vague, aware that his phone might not be secure. Tomorrow morning, at the park, she replied, understanding his caution. As John hung up, he looked out his window at the night sky. The stars no longer seemed peaceful. Something was coming, and Earth wasn't ready for it. Almost 2 years had passed since the Xantari first arrived on Earth. People had grown used to seeing the alien ships in the sky. Children played with Xantari toys. Adults used Xantari technology in their homes. The world had changed, mostly for the better. John Miller sat in a meeting room at the White House with other military officers and government officials. Grand Emissary Krell was scheduled to make an important announcement. John glanced at Admiral Cole, who looked tense. They had been gathering evidence about the Xantari's true intentions for months, but no one in power would listen. Lisa Brown rushed into the room and sat next to John. "Sorry I'm late," she whispered. "I was analyzing those new transmissions from their ships." "Did you find anything?" John asked quietly. Lisa nodded. "They've been sending signals to somewhere beyond our solar system. The messages increased by 300% in the last week." Before John could respond, the doors opened and Grand Emissary Krell entered with 6 other Xantari. They moved with a new confidence, almost arrogance. Krell stood at the front of the room and activated a floating screen. "People of Earth," Krell said, his voice broadcasting worldwide. "For 2 years, we have observed your civilization closely. We have shared our gifts and studied your response. Today marks the end of this evaluation period." John felt his stomach tighten. This wasn't the friendly announcement everyone expected. "The Xantari Collective has determined that Earth requires direct supervision," Krell continued. "Your species has shown destructive tendencies and cannot be trusted with advanced technology without proper guidance. As of today, Earth is officially a protected territory under Xantari control." The room erupted in shouts and questions. The president stood up, her face red with anger. "This is unacceptable," she said firmly. "Earth is a sovereign planet. We welcomed you as guests, not rulers." Krell's 4 arms moved in a dismissive gesture. "Your welcome is appreciated but unnecessary. We have already established control of your orbital systems and key military installations. This is not a negotiation." Admiral Cole stepped forward. "Our military will never accept alien rule. We will resist." Krell's large eyes blinked slowly. "A demonstration seems necessary." He touched a device on his wrist. The floating screen showed images from around the world. Major military bases suddenly erupted in flames as invisible weapons struck from orbit. Aircraft carriers sank in harbors. Nuclear missile silos collapsed inward. All happened in less than 30 seconds. "This is just 1% of our military capability," Krell said calmly. "Full resistance would result in unnecessary loss of human life. We value your species as a resource. Do not force us to damage that resource." The room fell silent. John felt cold rage building inside him. He looked at Lisa, who had tears in her eyes, but also determination on her face. They had been right all along, but it was too late to warn anyone. Alarms began to sound throughout the building. Secret Service agents rushed in, surrounding the president. "We have reports of alien ships landing at all major government centers," one agent reported. "They're taking control." "This meeting is over," Krell announced. "Your leaders will be relocated for processing and education. Civilian compliance is expected." As Xantari guards entered the room, Admiral Cole whispered to John and Lisa, "Get out now. Use exit plan Delta. We'll need people on the outside." John grabbed Lisa's arm and pulled her toward a side door as chaos erupted. They slipped into a maintenance corridor, just as Xantari troops began detaining everyone in the meeting room. "What now?" Lisa asked as they ran through the underground passage. "We find others who will fight back," John replied. "This isn't over." They emerged from a service entrance and saw Washington, D.C. transformed. Massive Xantari ships hovered above every government building. Troops marched through the streets. Earth's independence had ended in a single day. John and Lisa disappeared into the crowd, already planning their resistance. The aliens thought they had won, but they didn't understand humans. The real fight was just beginning. 1 year had passed since the Xantari took control of Earth. The world had changed completely. Alien buildings towered over human cities. Xantari soldiers patrolled the streets. People worked in mines and factories under alien supervision, digging up rare minerals to send to the stars. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, John Miller studied a map spread across a metal table. Red marks showed Xantari bases. Blue marks showed resistance hideouts. There weren't enough blue marks. Lisa Brown entered the underground room, followed by Army Captain Steve Jackson. Steve had been fighting in Africa when the takeover happened. He had gathered a group of soldiers and civilians and kept them hidden for months before joining the main resistance. The supply truck was hit. Steve said, his voice tired. "We lost the medical supplies and 2 good people." John looked up from the map. "What about the weapons?" "We got those through. Enough to arm the Boston cell." Steve sat heavily in a chair. The past year had aged him. A scar ran down his face from a close encounter with a Xantari patrol. Lisa placed a tablet on the table. "I've decoded more of their communications. They're planning to send another transport ship off-world next week, with human cargo." This was the most disturbing discovery they had made. The Xantari weren't just taking Earth's minerals. They were taking people too. Thousands had already disappeared, loaded onto massive ships. No one knew where they were sent or why. "How many this time?" John asked. 500, Lisa replied, "from the Denver work camp." John stood up straight. "Then we hit Denver. We can't stop the ships in orbit, but we can free the people on the ground." Kate Taylor, a former NASA engineer, joined them at the table. Since the occupation began, Kate had been working to understand and adapt Xantari technology. Her workshop was filled with alien devices taken from crashed scout ships and raided outposts. "I modified the pulse disruptors," Kate said. "They should disable the Xantari stun weapons for about 3 minutes. Not long, but maybe enough." John nodded. "We move tomorrow night. Small teams. Quick strike. Get as many people out as possible." That night, John couldn't sleep. He walked through the resistance base, checking on supplies and speaking with fighters. Almost 200 people lived in the bunker, which had once been a government emergency facility. Some were soldiers like him. Others were regular people who refused to live under alien rule. He found Lisa in the communications room, still working. She monitored Xantari transmissions day and night, learning their language better than anyone else on Earth. "You should rest," John told her. Lisa looked up with tired eyes. "I found something strange. The Xantari are sending urgent messages to their home world. They sound worried." "About what?" "I'm not sure. They keep using a word I don't recognize. Something about detection signals near the outer planets." Lisa pushed her hair back from her face. "Maybe nothing, but it's the first time I've heard them sound concerned." John felt a small spark of hope. The aliens had seemed unbeatable for so long. Any sign of weakness was welcome news. The next evening, 5 teams prepared for the Denver mission. They loaded weapons and equipment into unmarked trucks. Captain Steve checked each fighter personally. Kate distributed the modified pulse disruptors, explaining how to use them. "Remember," John told the group, "our priority is freeing our people. We get in, release the prisoners, and get out. No unnecessary risks." As they prepared to leave, a young messenger ran into the loading area. "Sir, Admiral Cole is making contact. He's alive." John had not heard from Admiral Cole since the day of the takeover. Many believed he had been killed. John rushed to the communications room, where Lisa was already working to secure the connection. A voice crackled through the static. "Lieutenant Miller, do you read me?" "Admiral Cole," John replied, relief washing over him. "We read you. Where are you?" "No time to explain," Cole said. "I need you to get to these coordinates immediately. We found something that could change everything. John looked at the location data coming through. It was in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. What could be there that would be worth such risk? Trust me, son, Cole continued as if reading his thoughts. This is what we've been waiting for. A chance to take back our world. John Miller stood on the deck of an old fishing boat as it moved slowly through the Pacific Ocean. The night was dark with no moon. Perfect for staying hidden from Centauri patrols. Captain Steve kept watch, while Lisa studied a small radar device. Kate Taylor checked her equipment one last time. "We're getting close," Lisa said. 2 miles ahead. John looked at the empty water ahead. Admiral Cole had been clear. Go to these exact coordinates and wait. He had promised answers but gave no details over the radio. It was risky leaving their mountain base, but if Cole was alive and had found something important, they had to take the chance. "There's nothing out here," Steve said, scanning the horizon. "Just empty ocean." As if in answer to his words, the water ahead began to bubble and churn. The small boat rocked as waves pushed against it. John grabbed the railing to steady himself. Something massive was rising from the depths. A metal platform broke the surface, water cascading off its edges. It was at least 100 feet wide, flat and gray. As it settled above the waves, a hatch opened in its center. A bright light shone upward, and a figure stood silhouetted against the beam. "Bring your boat alongside," called a familiar voice. Quickly. Minutes later, John, Lisa, Steve, and Kate stood on the platform with Admiral Cole. The older man looked thinner than before, with more gray in his hair, but his eyes were bright with excitement. "Sorry for the secrecy," Cole said as he led them toward the open hatch. "We couldn't risk the Centauri discovering this place." They descended a ladder into a large underwater facility. Dozens of people worked at computer stations or moved equipment. It looked like a military base, but unlike any John had seen before. "What is this place?" Lisa asked, staring at the advanced technology around them. "This was a secret research station before the invasion," Cole explained. "When the Centauri attacked, we went dark, cut all communications and power signatures. They never found us." He led them to a large room dominated by a circular table with a holographic display. Images of stars and planets floated above it. "3 days ago, we detected an unusual energy signature at the edge of our solar system," Cole said. "We sent a small submarine drone to investigate. What we found changes everything." He touched a control panel, and the hologram changed to show what looked like a space station. It was massive, with sections that seemed to spin slowly. "This isn't a Centauri structure," Cole continued. "It's been there for centuries, dormant until now. We believe it's some kind of relay beacon." "Whose is it?" John asked. "Another alien species." Cole smiled. "That's the incredible part. Look at this." The hologram zoomed in on a section of the station. Etched into the metal were symbols. Not alien writing, but English letters. Lisa stepped closer. "That's impossible. Humans haven't built anything like this." "Not yet," Cole said quietly. "But according to the date stamped next to those letters, we will. In about 200 years. The room fell silent as they processed this information. Kate was the first to understand. "You're saying this is from the future. Our future." Cole nodded. The drone managed to access some of its database before returning. "This station contains technical data sent back through time by our own descendants. They were facing extinction and used experimental time technology to send a warning and the knowledge we would need to survive." John's mind raced. But why put it at the edge of the solar system? Why not send the message directly to Earth? "Because the message wasn't meant for the whole world," Cole explained. "It was meant for a specific group who would understand what to do with it." And they did. He pressed another button, and the hologram changed again. Now it showed what looked like shipyards hidden among the asteroids and moons of the outer solar system. "For 50 years before the Centauri arrived, a secret coalition has been building these," Cole said, his voice filled with pride. using technology that shouldn't exist yet. The hologram showed ships, warships, thousands of them, hidden throughout the solar system. Lisa gasped, "We have a fleet." Cole nodded. Not just any fleet. Nearly 500,000 ships, built in secret, crewed by millions who disappeared from official records. And now, they're ready. John stared at the holographic ships, a mixture of hope and disbelief washing over him. Ready for what? Admiral Cole's eyes hardened. Ready to take back our planet. John stood at the viewport of a small transport ship as it moved through the darkness of space. 3 days had passed since the meeting with Admiral Cole. Now they were headed to see the secret fleet with their own eyes. Earth grew smaller behind them, a blue marble partly covered by Xantari ships that had no idea what was coming. "Still hard to believe," Steve said, joining John at the window. "All these years, a secret space navy being built right under our noses." John nodded, and under the Xantari's noses too. Lisa and Kate entered the bridge area. They had spent the journey studying the data from the future relay beacon. Their eyes were tired but excited. "The technology is amazing," Kate said. "Some of it works on principles we don't even have names for yet. Whoever sent this back in time gave us everything. Engine designs, weapon systems, shield technology." "And a warning," Lisa added. "The message says the Xantari didn't just take Earth in their timeline. They stripped it completely and killed most of humanity before moving on to other worlds." The pilot's voice came over the speaker. "We're approaching the main shipyard. Look to your right, toward the dark side of the moon." They all moved to the viewport. At first, they saw nothing but the gray surface of the moon. Then, as they passed into its shadow, lights appeared. Hundreds, then thousands of lights revealing the outline of massive structures built into and around the moon's surface. "How did they hide all this?" Steve whispered in awe. "The far side of the moon was always hidden from Earth," the pilot explained. "And our stealth technology keeps it hidden from the Xantari. We only power up sections when their scanners are facing away." As they drew closer, John could see the shipyards clearly. They were enormous, stretching for miles across the lunar surface. And inside these yards floated ships, not small ships like their transport, but massive warships that dwarfed anything he had ever seen. Their transport docked with the largest structure, a space station built inside a lunar crater. Admiral Cole met them as they stepped through the airlock. "Welcome to Artemis Base," he said with pride, "the heart of Operation Salvation Arc." He led them through corridors filled with people in uniforms John didn't recognize. Men and women moved with purpose, preparing for what was to come. "How many people know about this?" Lisa asked, watching the activity around them. "Globally, about 3 million, Cole replied. "Some were recruited directly. Others are the children and grandchildren of the original members, born and raised in these secret bases. And no one ever talked." Steve asked in disbelief. "When the future of your species depends on keeping a secret, you keep it," Cole said simply. They entered a massive control room with windows looking out over one of the shipyards. Officers monitored screens showing ship positions throughout the solar system. "The plan began 70 years ago," Cole explained. "A group of scientists detected the first signal from the relay beacon. At first, they thought it was alien. When they realized it was human, from the future, many didn't believe it. But the technical data it contained was too advanced to ignore. So they started building in secret," John said. Cole nodded. "Governments around the world contributed resources without fully understanding what they were for. Trillions of dollars diverted through thousands of fake projects. Millions of tons of materials shipped to space under cover of routine satellite launches." He pointed to a large screen showing the solar system. Small blue dots appeared everywhere, behind planets, among asteroid fields, in the clouds of Jupiter. "Each dot is a battle group," Cole said. 500,000 ships in total, ranging from small fighters to large carriers. "We've been building them for decades, hiding them throughout the solar system, waiting for the moment the Xantari would come. But you didn't stop them from taking Earth, Lisa said, a hint of accusation in her voice. We couldn't, Cole replied. The beacon was clear. We had to let them establish their bases on Earth before striking. If we revealed ourselves too early, they would have called in their main fleet immediately. We weren't ready then. And now? John asked. Admiral Cole's face hardened with determination. Now we are. In 3 days, we launch Operation Skyfall. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier we have, all focused on taking back our planet. John looked out at the massive ships in the shipyard. For the first time since the invasion, he felt real hope. Earth was not defenseless after all. Not anymore. The day of Operation Skyfall arrived. John Miller stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiance, the largest warship in Earth's secret fleet. Through the massive front window, he could see hundreds of other ships moving into formation. Admiral Cole sat in the command chair, giving orders in a calm voice that belied the importance of this day. All battle groups report ready, said a young officer at the communication station. Cole nodded and pressed a button on his chair. His voice would now reach every ship in the fleet. This is Admiral Cole. For decades, we prepared for this day. We built our ships in shadow. We trained in silence. We waited for the right moment. That moment has come. Today we take back our world. John looked at Lisa, who stood at a console translating Xantari communications. Steve Jackson commanded a squad of fighters launched from the Defiance. Kate Taylor was in the engine room, making sure the advanced technology from the future worked perfectly. All ships, begin Phase 1. Cole ordered. May God be with us all. Throughout the solar system, hidden ships powered up their engines. They emerged from their hiding places, from behind moons, from within asteroid fields, from the clouds of Jupiter. 500,000 warships of all sizes, built with technology centuries ahead of what the Xantari thought humans possessed. On Earth, the Xantari went about their business as usual. Grand Emissary Krell sat in his office in what had once been the United Nations building in New York. A junior officer rushed in, his 4 arms moving in patterns of distress. Honored Emissary, our sensors detect multiple objects approaching Earth. Krell looked up with mild interest. Debris. A meteor shower. No, sir. Ships. Thousands of ships. And they're not in our database. On board the Defiance, John watched the main screen as the fleet converged on Earth from all directions. The Xantari had only 20 large warships in orbit, with a few hundred smaller craft. They had never needed more to control Earth. They're scrambling to respond, Lisa reported, listening to the alien communications. They don't understand what's happening. Admiral Cole smiled grimly. They thought Earth was helpless. Let's show them how wrong they were. The first wave of human ships entered Earth's orbit. They were smaller, faster vessels designed to take out the Xantari defense systems. They moved with incredible speed, firing weapons that cut through alien shields like they weren't there. Their shields are failing, reported the tactical officer. Our phase cannons are working exactly as the specs promised. On the main screen, John watched as 3 Xantari cruisers exploded in quick succession. The smaller alien ships tried to regroup, but they were overwhelmed by the sheer number of human vessels appearing from all directions. Second wave, begin your approach, Cole ordered. The Defiance led the second wave, along with 100 other capital ships of similar size. As they moved toward Earth, the sky above the planet seemed to darken with vessels. People on the ground looked up in confusion, and then growing hope as they realized these ships were fighting the Xantari. Inside his command center, Grand Emissary Krell stared at the tactical display in shock. Impossible. They can't have built these ships. They don't have the technology. Sir, should we contact the collective for reinforcements? Asked his second-in-command. Krell's 4 hands moved rapidly over the controls. Yes. Tell them we need the main fleet immediately. All of it. In orbit, the battle continued. Human ships took losses, but for every one that fell, 5 Xantari vessels were destroyed. The advanced technology from the future worked perfectly, giving Earth's forces an edge their enemies couldn't counter. On the Defiance's bridge, Lisa looked up from her console. "Admiral, I'm picking up a transmission from the Centauri. They're calling for their main fleet." Cole nodded, as if expecting this. "And now we spring the trap. Begin Phase 3. John looked at the Admiral. "What's Phase 3? Cole's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "Why do you think we waited so long to attack? The future message told us exactly when the Centauri main fleet would be most vulnerable. Kate, is the temporal displacement device ready?" Kate's voice came over the speaker from the engine room. "Ready, Admiral. The calculations from the beacon are locked in." "Then it's time," Cole said, "to show the Centauri that humanity is not just fighting for today. We're fighting for our future." A massive Centauri fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system. 5,000 warships, far more powerful than those orbiting Earth. They moved in perfect formation, ready to crush the human resistance. Grand Emissary Krell watched their approach on his display, a smile spreading across his alien face. "The humans fought well," he said to his officers. "But it ends now." On the bridge of the U.S. Defiance, Admiral Cole watched the same display with calm confidence. "Kate, activate the temporal displacement field." In the engine room, Kate Taylor initiated the device built from future technology. Energy surged through the ship and into a series of satellites positioned throughout the solar system. A wave of blue light spread outward, invisible to normal eyes but showing clearly on their special sensors. "Field extending," Kate reported. "Reaching the Centauri fleet in 3, 2, 1. The approaching enemy fleet suddenly froze. The ships seemed to shimmer, becoming partly transparent as if they were fading from reality. "What's happening to them?" John asked, staring at the screen. "The temporal displacement field traps them between dimensions," Cole explained. "Neither fully here nor fully gone. They can see us, but they can't reach us, can't fire on us, can't move." Lisa monitored the Centauri communications. "They're panicking. They don't understand what's happening." In his command center, Krell watched in horror as his reinforcements became useless. Earth's ships continued their attack on the remaining Centauri forces. Within hours, the last alien vessel in Earth orbit was destroyed or captured. "This is impossible," Krell whispered. "How did they advance so quickly?" A human voice responded over his communication system. "Not quickly, Emissary Krell. We've been preparing for this day for 70 years. Admiral Cole, John, Lisa, and a squad of soldiers transported down to Krell's command center. They found the alien leader surrounded by his few remaining guards. "Your choices are simple," Cole told him. "Unconditional surrender or join your fleet in dimensional limbo." Krell looked at the humans with new respect and fear. "You've won this battle, but the collective spans hundreds of worlds. They will send more ships." John stepped forward. "And we'll be ready for them too. The difference is, we're not interested in conquering other worlds. We just want ours back." The surrender of the Centauri forces took place 3 days later. Throughout the world, people emerged from their homes to see human ships in the sky instead of alien ones. Soldiers from the secret fleet landed to secure alien installations and free work camps. The occupation that had seemed unbreakable ended in less than a week. 1 month after the victory, John stood with Lisa, Steve, and Kate on the observation deck of a new space station orbiting Earth. Below them, the planet was returning to normal. Alien structures were being dismantled. Forests regrew where mining operations had scared the land. "Hard to believe it's over," Steve said, his arm in a sling from injuries during the final battle. "It's not over," Admiral Cole said, joining them at the window. "It's just beginning. The Centauri technology we've captured, combined with what we received from the future, humanity is about to make a giant leap forward." Lisa looked at the stars. "What about the people they took off-world? The thousands who disappeared?" "We found records in Krell's database," Cole replied. "We know where they were sent. A fleet is already preparing to go after them." Kate smiled. And I've been studying the time technology. I think I understand how our descendants sent their message back. Maybe someday we'll thank them in person." John watched as a fleet of new Earth ships moved into formation nearby. They were heading toward the Xantari Collective, not for revenge but with an offer: peace through cooperation, or face a humanity that would never be conquered again. Far beyond the solar system, the displaced Xantari fleet hung in dimensional limbo, a permanent reminder of what happened when they underestimated Earth. The stars seemed brighter somehow as humanity took its place among them. No longer the primitive species the aliens had dismissed, but a force to be respected throughout the galaxy. As the first ships jumped to light speed, carrying Earth's message to the stars, John thought about how quickly things had changed. One day, aliens had darkened their skies, thinking Earth was helpless. The next, humanity had shown the universe that they were anything but.